Let me ask you, broadly speaking, about where we are right now, because a lot of people wonder if advertising took a hit because of the global recession. How has it impacted global sales at Google? And from your standpoint, what kind of a recovery are we looking at?
Well, I think, when we had this big blip in the markets, that advertisers and marketeers became a bit cautious. And we are seeing them coming back. They're back because search in the online industry and the online advertising business is way more measurable than any form of media. So we are beginning to see them come back. They want to be there. They want to engage with consumers. We are in an industry where the trend of consumers is to continue to be more and more online. People are consuming more content, more entertainment online. So you are continuing to see that shift, and advertisers continue to follow the consumers on the web.
And I guess it was your colleague, Eric Schmidt, who told me that there are almost 4 billion cell phones in the world, as opposed to 1 billion PCs, which I think is just extraordinary, and it shows you where things are going in terms of mobility, right?
Well, in some proportion, yes. There's about 1.5 billion people on the web and probably about 3+ billion people on mobile phones. So yes. So clearly, mobility is a big trend. And if you look at areas like China and in India, where people are not going to be using PCs as often as they're using mobile phones, and they have more connectivity with mobile phones. So clearly, there's a huge swath of people in the world who are using more mobile phones than they're using the web.
So you guys have been so brilliant in terms of coming up with a strategy to make the most money on advertising and on search, really, that you can. So give me your plans going forward as far as beyond search. AdWords, for example, has been so incredibly successful. First, let me get your take on this. Have advertisers changed their strategy as a result of what's going on with the economy? Are they doing things differently?
I think if you look 5 years ago and today, it's best to compare. 5 years ago, people didn't think search mattered or the web was an interesting place where consumers did things. But today, people are coming more and more onto the web and wanting to advertise and engage with the consumers. So like search and online advertising has become mainstream. We don't talk about digital marketing as like this taboo or something different from mainstream advertising. So clearly, we're seeing that big shift and advertisers wanting to pay attention in search, yes.
What sectors would you say are still spending money and sort of increasing the dollars in terms of ads? Are there sectors that jump out at you, or is this across the board?
It's across the board, to be fair, because we've just been through Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So clearly the retailers were out there in full force trying to engage with the consumers. I think read somewhere that the online commerce grew way better than commerce out in the offline world or in the store world. So you're clearly seeing the retailers, you continue to see travel businesses, and the financial services guys are coming back.
They are?
They are, yes.
What are you seeing in terms of innovation right now? What do you think is the big idea next in tech?
I think the big innovation we're going to see is going to be around the cloud. The fact that now we all take broadband access for granted. I don't worry about, I walk around with my PC, I know that we're going to have broadband connectivity. We are going to see changes in browser technology and stuff like we're doing around Chrome or like we're doing around Android. We're going to see a lot of latency removal from that process in browsers, and you're going to see a lot of applications which are going to be more collaborative, more in the cloud, where you and I can collaborate, or you and I can share.
And what are the opportunities at Google beyond search? You're still talking about the lion's share, 95% of profits coming from search.
Well, I think it's more interesting to see us more as an online advertising play, not just a search play, because we have a huge and burgeoning business in the display space, so not just search, but as it comes to display advertising, banners, and all that stuff, which is going to get better and better as we're applying more targeting technology, more measurability to it. And I think the whole world of online video advertising is open out there, and we're going to see a big shift as advertisers continue to want to address people who are watching video on the web.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you mentioned display ads. Let me get your thoughts on what's going on internationally. The New York Times recently ran a story about Google in Japan, saying that Google's been unable to gain really significant market share as compared to Yahoo in Japan. Yahoo has 56.5% of search market share. Google has 33.7%. What are your thoughts in terms of getting a bigger foothold in Japan?
I think in most industries, a 30+% share is a wonderful position to be in. So I'm not sure why people are unhappy with our share in Japan. And we have been seeing continuing progress in our share in Japan. So we are doing better than we were a few years ago. So from that perspective, we continue to want to innovate in those markets. And the market in Japan is competitive. Our competitor is innovative. We're being innovative, and we will see. This is not about any particular point in time. This is about constant innovation, continuing to think about consumer happiness, and trying to make sure you can find the product solutions that are designed for the local market.
Does the customers change in terms of what they want, whether it's on the advertising side or even the user around the world, given the different cultures?
I think not just around different cultures, even within cultures. I mean, 5 or 10 years ago, I'd be happy if I found something on the web somewhere, if I searched for it. Today, I'm not happy if I don't find it in the first 3 lines that I'm looking for it. So even our expectations have become higher, even within our own culture, let alone outside other cultures. But in other cultures, there are nuances where people are looking for different things. There are many cultures which read right to left. So you have to redesign the whole thing so that you can get them to read, you can prioritize that. So there are different things that happen in different markets.
Yeah,
but
of course,
fundamentally, the technology is the same.
But do you need to, change sort of the package for an advertiser, in Japan versus, versus China versus the US or Europe?
Yes, so every advertiser situation is different. And in Japan, you are helping them target their local consumers based on their local products. So there's a lot of local knowledge that is required as it relates to packaging the sales offer for the advertiser, as it relates to creating products. In Japan, you have to have Japanese maps.